Doctor. This is episode 34 with your host, Dr. Danielle Lockwood.
Hello, and this is Richard Lockwood.
Hey,
Thanks for joining us. We apologize for the break. We've been working on our new Terrain Wellness Investigative Medicine track. So if you're a patient of ours, you got an email about that today.
that's
New and
fun.
exciting ways to deliver care and help people along, which is fun. And I've also been invited to be a speaker at the Institute of Functional Medicine, the dentistry department there. So lots of preparation and getting ready to fly out of town and recording things and all sorts of stuff. So unfortunately, Fire Your Doctor had to take a hiatus temporarily to get all those things launched.
Well,
But we're here.
that's really fun.
Yeah. You look like the face for our listeners. His face does not look fun. You don't look fun at all.
I guess for me, it just means you've been working a lot of late nights and I don't
Uh-huh.
know. So it's just kind of like, sweet, you got invited to do this thing. But it's good, but it's a strain on the family. And anyway, whatever. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about statins, and
It's
we're going
fun.
to talk about what a statin medication is, and we're going to go into a little bit of a deep dive around what is cholesterol really.
Okay.
Okay. And yes. So let's talk about conventionally. So those guys over there, and I'm pointing to like somewhere nebulously outside of the view of the camera, they are.
Well, let's see. Let me break this down. So the standard understanding of statins would be that there is a correlation where people with heart disease very often have increased cholesterol. So, or actually, that would be an observation. Increased cholesterol seems to be associated with heart disease. The second step would be, well, wait a minute. What if that cholesterol was causal or contributed to heart disease? And then the third step would be, okay, well, if all that's true, then I can reduce cholesterol and resolve or mitigate heart disease.
Yeah, let's put it
So
simpler.
where am I right? Where am I wrong?
Well, let's put it simpler. I think you're absolutely right in the fact that the conventional standard of care has been labeling cholesterol as maybe a cause of heart disease. And therefore, if they lower it, then they're somehow going to lower their risk of cardiovascular issues like heart
Right.
attack, stroke, all that kind of stuff.
Right. I guess I'm going from like first principles. First would be the observation, right? The observation. This person has heart disease. What do you know? They got high cholesterol. If we go across a population base, I will see that frequently. So that's an observation. And you wouldn't argue with that, would you?
I would not argue with that.
Okay. Well, at least we're grounded in reality.
So let's just say that very
So then
clearly.
let's go to the next step.
Yes.
Okay. Does cholesterol, if I reduce cholesterol, does that reduce my risk of heart disease?
No,
Okay.
does not.
If I reduce my heart disease, would it reduce my cholesterol?
Possibly, yes. Interesting.
Okay. So basically, if we see kind of two things floating down the river, the question is what's upstream of what?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then also, what's the consequences of us stopping what's downstream of a certain thing?
Yeah, so that's, I guess, like a question that you'll get and we'll kind of wrestle with here, and we're trying to repeat it on camera. But one of the things is, well, does this medicine work or does that medicine work? And I think that's kind of a dangerous question because it's like, do statins work?
Do
I'm going to
statins
argue
work?
yes and you argue no. How about that?
Yes. Well, okay, go ahead. Do the argument for yes. Do they work?
Now I didn't really start taking a statin, but I started taking a statin and I saw my cholesterol improve by this much percent. Therefore, statins work.
Okay. Yes, statins do work at reducing cholesterol, but it's non-selective. And so it's going to reduce good, like helpful cholesterol, which most cholesterol is helpful. And also, it didn't clear up your heart disease or your diabetes.
That's what I was looking for. I was like, wait, do I
Yeah.
have to go over to your side of the table?
No.
No, because what I would be looking for is that when people are like, well, does this medicine work? It's like,
I've had
yes.
cardiologists tell patients, mutual patients of ours, that the lower the cholesterol, the better. If they could even almost get rid of cholesterol, they feel, because they are so stuck in this idea that cholesterol is the cause of the heart disease. They're just so stuck in this paradigm that they can't see it. So they're like, well, they said it's low and they want to keep me on it because you can can never be too low when it comes to cardiovascular disease. And I wanted to vomit in the visit. I was like,
Okay.
no.
Well, let's wait a minute. Okay. Well, I think, but this is a problem, is because we're looking at a heuristic, meaning it's like a secondary marker that we're using to make observations about reality,
Right.
right? Like, meaning, okay, we live out in the woods. The chickens are quiet, so that means they're safe. And it's like, well, they could be in a lot of
Dead.
danger, or like, yeah, or things have gotten so bad that they're past squawking. You know what I mean? And so like, or maybe I just didn't hear it because somebody's mowing the lawn, or you know what I mean? There could be any number of reasons that my heuristic might be off. My car runs fine because I don't see the little check engine light.
Yeah. Scan outward, though. I think this
Okay.
this was really compelling to me because I just think it is just a very easy explanation. If the advent of cholesterol lowering medications has been helpful, and we think that it's one of the causes, or at least a large contributing factor to the development of heart attacks. I'm
Mhm.
just going to use that simple.
So right now we're challenging the thesis. I'm going to lower cholesterol, and then that's going to be
We're going to see a lower amount of cardiovascular incidences in the USA. We'll just keep it in this country for
sure,
a second, okay? Or
sure.
Canada, okay? Have we seen that? So statins have been around for over 40 years and they've
Right.
been used. It is one of the top medications, and these are drugs like lovastatin and rotorvastatin, and I don't even know. It ends with statin. So
Lipitor is the brand
Lipitor
name.
is the brand name.
Please don't kill me, Pfizer or Eli
Yeah,
Lilly
just
or whoever it is.
whatever, like, I'm not saying that, and to your point, they are lowering cholesterol,
Right, and so that's what I mean. It's like somebody's like, "You know what? I
but
had this number.
yeah, but let's go back.
It's working."
But have we seen it lower incidence of cardiovascular disease since we've had these in the circulation? We also have public health officials advocating for the addition of statin medications into the water supply because they think it's so beneficial to lower cardiovascular risk. But we have not seen a decrease in cardiovascular disease. We've seen an increase.
What's
So
the
this
percentage?
doesn't make sense.
We quoted this in the book somewhere. I don't remember on
Yeah,
what
I'd have to
page,
pull it up.
but no, but there was one specifically that was talking about the percentage of the adult over 40 population
It's
on
over,
statins.
oh, it's like something crazy, like 40% or something.
Right. I was like, it's at least a third, if not coming up closer to half
Mm-hmm.
of USA adults over 40 that are on a statin.
Yep.
Right. So, do you have any of the stats in the notes on kind of like what we've seen? So, somebody at this point, we have broad society level, what are called longitudinal studies on this, meaning, so normally a scientific study or a medical research study would be over the course of a few months, maybe a few years at most.
Mm-hmm.
A longitudinal study is one where we can track a large population base over decades.
Mm-hmm.
So with statins out so long, how much have we seen? And this is such a leading question. How much have we seen statins affect, let's just say, overall longevity? How long are you going to live? One person's on a statin, one person isn't.
Now, this actually comes from Dr. Seem Malhotra,
I know.
and
Am I
this
going there
comes,
early?
yeah, it comes from an interview that we listened to, and then we looked up his study. His study
Well,
is
he wrote a book too.
he has written and been a participating cardiologist in numerous studies. He's out of the UK.
Well, wasn't he a department head?
Yes, in cardiology.
I mean, was until he started talking
One
about
until
statins.
but then he
Then they
found
canned him.
no, I think it was something like it extended life. If you took it every single day as directed for 5 years,
I thought it was more
you
like 10 or 20.
you would decrease or you would increase your life expectancy by 2 to 3 days. It was something along those lines. And so basically that could have been honestly statistical
Noise.
noise in the background. It's not enough to be compelling to, and then what was that compared to? Was that compared to actual metabolic repair where somebody is exercising, eating a whole food diet? Like, what is that being compared to?
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying is that you get maybe for 1 year on a statin, you might get minutes added to your life taking it for 365 days, maybe. But that
Maybe, but that there's also side effects with those medications. We'll get to that in a second.
yeah,
It's not a
yeah,
it's not a 0. It's not, "Well, I lowered my cholesterol and this extended my life by 3 days."
yeah. And when we're talking about that just seems
Very low.
dubious. Like if you were just like average life expectancy increased by a few years, then okay, let's just say people over 40 are probably going to live into their 80s. Okay, great. So I guess if they improved their life or increased their life expectancy by 8 months, that'd be 1%.
By the way, this book here, it's called Overdosed America. It is about this was actually a required text in my research and statistics class in medical school. And it talked about specifically all of the statin studies. It talked about medication in general, and it talked about how we are being prescribed to death, basically, and that we're not actually seeing people get healthier, even though we have all these advancements in technology and pharmaceuticals.
Okay. So let's like put this into kind of sections or whatever to think about it.
Mhm.
So first, there is the thesis that, okay, statins lower cholesterol. Great. And in that narrow sense, you could say yes, I agree with any other physician. Statins work at their
Mhm.
intended purpose.
Mhm.
Right. Great.
But cholesterol does not equal disease.
Now that's getting into the deeper one where it's like, okay, is the thing I'm asking for in my life really going to get me my desired outcome?
Right.
Because when we're asking for that, kind of like if you just like, okay, you rub the bottle and the genie comes out, number one, like
It's a
different
demon.
conversation. It's a demon.
It's a demon.
It's a demon. There's always a catch. Now, but suppose there's not, whatever. It's just, I'll give you whatever you want, right? And you were like, I wish my cholesterol was lower. What you're really wanting is you're really wanting increased longevity, weight loss, reduction of heart disease risk, maybe reduction of cancer risk, reducing hardened arteries and plaques, reduced risk of Alzheimer's, dementia. So that's what you're really asking for. And this is kind of back to the genie analogy. This is where the kind of devil sneaks in and gives you what you asked for
Mhm.
in a way that doesn't really give you what you need or
Yeah.
ultimately what you wanted.
Also, cholesterol does not cause heart disease. It participates to some effect in the repair, and it acts as a early warning sign for dysfunction in the metabolic system.
So you're saying that a diseased body will not be able to process, digest, and metabolize cholesterol
Efficiently.
such okay, fine,
Mhm.
some is getting done, but it's
Yeah.
your ability to process, metabolize, use, and eliminate excess cholesterol is reduced when there are disease processes.
Yep, that is true.
Okay. So you're almost looking at it as a byproduct of someone who is already unhealthy.
Correct.
Like if somebody has their numbers that are off or et cetera, something that would flag them clinically for you as a physician, you're just like looking at their labs and just saying, this ain't right.
There's a couple things too. First of all, if we were to look at cholesterol levels from back in the 1950s, we see that the actual levels that were considered healthy and normal were not a lot higher than they are now. But that at this point, because statins have been introduced as a mainstay medication, it's falsely lowering the levels that would be considered normal and healthy.
Well, this is kind of getting back into your conversation about lab ranges, where it's like we're not comparing ourselves to a healthy ideal when we get labs. We're comparing ourselves to normal and average. And unfortunately, in our society, normal and average for many of our age groups is very far from healthy.
Correct. Like, and
S-
we can use testosterone as an example in men. Testosterone for the male population should be a set point. It should not adjust over the years and slowly lower as it has. It should be, this is what the average healthy, optimal male
Yeah,
level
get that
should be.
average word out of there then.
Yeah, it's like this is what this should be, but in reality, we've settled for this mediocre
Guess you're average.
Guess your average, quote, normal level where no man is actually feeling good at those levels.
But when we look at these kind of macro trends in society, it looks like a lot of health factors are becoming kind of a sinking ship. And where it's like, well, guess we're drowning in the same amount as everybody else. So I'm average
So
or I'm normal.
I'm normal. This is what we do. We all did
I
this.
don't want to be normal on the Titanic going down.
Right?
It's like there
I,
weren't two doors
I like this
to
analogy.
float on.
The
Like,
firefighter analogy. Cholesterol shows up where damage already exists. So the firefighter isn't showing up and all of a sudden the fire breaks out. Fire's already happening in the background. Cholesterol's already going imbalanced in the background because it shows up in relation to damage that's happening.
so wait a minute. I don't know. Like the analogy's okay. Like I might like argue with it a little bit though. When you say firefighter, like cholesterol isn't trying to help the heart disease, is it though?
It is. It
Okay.
actually is on some level.
How is that?
Well, because you have to understand cholesterol is going to let's go into the arteries. Let's just look at it from that perspective. The tubes that are pumping your heart or your blood back and forth from your heart to the rest of your body.
Yes.
Okay. So we're inside the arteries, inside the intima of the artery, which is the inner lining of the artery, that starts with damage that will happen. Well, what happens is cholesterol actually comes in to try to patch up the damage that has already been done. So it almost works like a bike, like, like you have a leak in your tire in your bike and you put a patch over that leak. That's what cholesterol is trying to do, because it's trying to go repair this tear, this micro tear that's been done internally inside these arteries.
What caused the tear?
Probably high blood pressure. Okay. So an overt, force coming through and harming the heart over time. This isn't just going to happen if you go for a run and your blood pressure goes up. Like that's not what's going to cause that. This is a long-term kind of over and over process that's happening of repair. The other thing that happens
Is it
is
real repair though, or is it just kind of mitigation?
it can. There is some evidence that it can repair. When it starts to get sticky, pun intended, is when we start to accumulate calcification over that patch. Okay, so the soft cholesterol going to the patch, not as big of a deal. When it starts to become calcified, then it becomes hard. And then that's when it becomes inflexible and therefore then creates that bump that we see in those lovely drawings trying to tell you, hey, you need this medication. It's going to help you reverse heart disease, which, by the way, it does not.
Does it help? Wait a minute. You said it. Like no indefinite articles. We got to get them out of here.
Statins.
Statins.
It.
Okay. So yeah, do statins narrowly reduce hardening of arteries?
They say it helped. They, as in the researchers of statins, will say there is some benefit to promotion of, for example, vasodilation. So actually helping with the dilating of the vessels. The other thing that happens, and this is getting into like anatomy and physiology, there's these receptors on the outside of the vessels called baroreceptors that are very sensitive to nitric oxide production. As your metabolic health deteriorates, you're going to see a reduction in nitric oxide automatically, so you don't get enough stimulus to actually cause the vessel to dilate or open up wide. Okay. Now, their argument is, well, statins can actually help with that because that's another effect of the drug. I have not seen enough evidence of that because I have not seen a person go on statin drugs and then all of a sudden their blood pressure lowers, for example. They're usually requiring a second or third medication to get the blood pressure under control.
Okay.
But I've heard cardiologists say, well, no, this could help with this too. I have not seen that to be the case, though.
So maybe to a limited extent. I don't know.
Yes, but they're always trying to come up with new benefit, new benefits for this drug that's really not that great.
Yeah, if you got to think about the benefits.
Yes.
Okay.
So
great.
cholesterol. What is cholesterol?
Let's shift gears then. Yeah.
Can we go back and talk about what cholesterol is, like naturally in the intelligent design, the way that humans were made? Cholesterol is actually the precursor, so it's the backbone to all steroid hormones. So it's the backbone to all steroid hormones. Those would be things like cortisol, which is our stress hormone, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Those are example of steroid
So wait,
hormones.
precursor. Let's like dumb that down a little bit. Precursor meaning that if I'm a man and I want to make testosterone inside my body is going to need
Cholesterol.
cholesterol
Mhm.
to make that. It's kind of funny you
100%.
go from an all to an own,
Yeah.
like all the steroids and an own
Yeah. It also okay, so a step down
organic
from that
chemistry.
process, and this is something that I teach most of my patients when I'm dealing with hormones, I show them a diagram. Okay, what is the first step in making hormones? Because they'll come in, I want my hormones better. It's like, okay, great. What's the first step in that? The first step is
Raw materials.
you gotta have raw material. You have to have enough cholesterol.
So cholesterol is a raw material building block that your body needs to make hormones.
Seems important, right? Okay. The next thing that cholesterol is used for, and I say cholesterol broadly, this is talking about low density lipoproteins, triglycerides, all of those are in that category. So some people will be like, well, my triglycerides this or my LDL this. Like I'm just using the broad category of cholesterol. Okay. There's different types. For example, triglycerides, very important for brain membranes, okay, and the central nervous system, okay, but I'm going to just be as general as possible. So, cholesterol in general, very critical for the production and repair of cell membranes, especially neurons.
Yeah, it's can we talk about myelin?
We talked about it last time, but
Did
do
we?
you want to talk about it again? You really like myelin.
I like it.
What is myelin?
It is a lining on what would that be like axons, like nerve axons?
What's a nerve axon?
It's the little thing that goes out from a nerve.
It's
It's a projection from a nerve cell that communicates with another cell.
Do you know what produces myelin?
What do you mean the body? Well,
What cell produces myelin?
nerves. No, wait. There's another one.
Dendrocytes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So dendrocytes produce, think of it like a
Maybe
lubrication.
tell people what myelin does.
It causes the central nervous system is lined, your entire central spine and your nervous system and all your nerve fibers that go out from the central spine are this lubrication kind of comes out to help with the conduction of the signal. Okay. So
It's
if
more of like a lining. It goes
yes,
around. I
but
don't know if
it
I'd call
makes things
lubrication.
fast.
It's a lining that goes around nerves in
Mhm.
your body
But it's made of fat, so I always
that
think of it as a
causes.
lubrication.
Well, I mean, I guess the effect is that it causes nerve signals to go faster,
Yes,
to propagate.
to propagate, and propagate means to release basically and to like
Go from one
signal.
thing to another,
Yeah,
meaning the time that it takes for like somebody to
touch
poke
a hot
you,
stove and
touch
then
a hot
lift.
stove for you to feel it, if you had proper myelination on your nerves,
Mhm.
that signal, your body would you would realize it faster. And
Yes.
you'll actually see myelination happen around in athletes that are doing specific motions and things like that, where their body is being trained. People that are very intelligent that have to remember certain facts and things like that, or do certain tasks frequently, your body will start to build myelin on the nerves that kind of access those parts of your brain and those parts of your body.
Yes,
So it's
to
very much tied to mental performance, reaction time, and athletic performance, the
yeah.
myelination of your nerves.
Yeah, and the mechanics of the muscle movement and how quickly you respond to a stimulus. So that's myelin. Well,
So why wouldn't I like myelin? Why are you even
in
challenging me on myelin? Like,
in order to make myelin, you will need triglycerides in order to do that. So what is actually one treatment that naturopaths use when somebody has multiple sclerosis is we make sure that they can utilize fats, and they will sometimes put people on a ketogenic diet where they're making sure that they're getting
here, wait,
lots of
you're
fats.
taking a bunch of steps there. So like MS, degenerative,
Yeah.
neurological, like kind of nerve disorder
Yes. In myelin, they
that
lack myelin.
affects the myelin. And so pretty soon their myelin is so weakened that their nerves can't even make their body stand up
Yes.
and perform basic, like what you'd call ADLs or activities of daily life.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so as that myelin wears down and gets thinner,
They will create lesions in those areas of the central nervous system. So either in the brain itself or the spinal cord.
right, right. So MS would be an example of, for whatever reason, we don't know, your body is not producing or maintaining or keeping myelin
Correct.
that is made out of cholesterol and triglycerides, or
Yes. Yes.
specifically.
So it's critical for cell membranes, especially neurons. Okay. So that's how we got
Right.
there.
What's really interesting about that is one of the things that's like these plaques, they're very sticky and they're very interesting. And one of the interesting things to me about cholesterols is it seems like they have like some things that they're in common with being hydrophilic and some being like hydrophobic, meaning do they attract water or don't they? And so it's almost like it's just kind of one of the things that makes them a little bit harder for your body to break down is looked at as a bad thing if you're like, hey, I want to lose a bunch of weight like yesterday. But in terms of like, I need to keep this liquid separated from this liquid, aka myelin or phospholipid bilayers or kind of like cell membranes, all of a sudden those effects become crucial.
Yes. I don't really know what the point of that was, but
I just found it interesting. Well, because like we think of like, oh, well, I got to get rid of all this cholesterol, but it's like, okay, well, every cell membrane in your body is using some of these cholesterols because what is a phospholipid?
it's a
It's a
cholesterol.
phosphate with
It's a
fat.
fat. Yes, exactly. Well, I think we're building that case now.
So it's like
Okay.
there's, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
So what
whatever.
else is it used for? How about immune?
Frying eggs.
It's essential for immune signaling. Okay. So even lymphatics use fatty molecules in order to drain out toxins from the body. Yikes, right? I mean, this is huge, huge.
So they're using that as a binder.
Yeah, they like kind of suck up particles and dead membranes and things like that.
Okay.
Okay. It's required for vitamin D synthesis. So if you don't have enough cholesterol, you're not going to create, and you can create your own vitamin D internally as long as you have exposure to sunlight and a good, healthy gut bacteria.
What's the, okay, or like,
But it's a backbone. So vitamin D is actually a steroid hormone as well.
mhm. Can we have a dedicated section on kind of like doesn't, not right now, but let's have a section where we talk about more specifically like the side effects of long-term statin use? Because I mean, right now it's like you could be like neurological hormones and like some of these things that we're kind of
Oh,
like
we're going to
hinting
talk
at,
about
but
it in
are
a
we getting
second.
there?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Uh-huh. Hold
Turn the
on.
page, Richard.
Yes. And then it's necessary for brain health and cognition. I think we've built the case with that for the myelin. And then lowering cholesterol indiscriminately has downstream consequences. So now we're going to talk about those.
Okay. Or
Okay.
wait, we're talking
But
about,
we'll get there in a second.
okay.
Okay. But first, we're going to talk about why does cholesterol go up? So I think we've made a case for cholesterol going up does not necessarily equal you're going to have heart disease, although there's some factors that are related to the development of heart disease.
Well, yeah, we're going to get into, yeah. So why is your cholesterol going up? And you're kind of going into this argument to say that insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, going into diabetes, inflammation, all of those things are going to raise your cholesterol
Mm-hmm.
more than you'd want, leading to some of that buildup in the arteries, et cetera.
If I see someone's cholesterol out of balance, I automatically am like, your metabolic health is trash. It's time to clean it
We still
up.
love you.
We still
We
love
still
you.
love you. When I'm softening the blow, we have trouble.
Yes.
Like,
I I definitely still love you. However, if that is a huge inflammatory signal,
yeah.
right? That doesn't mean
Yeah.
that does can lead to heart disease.
Mhm.
However, we need to address what's actually going on, which
Mhm.
is usually you love your carbs, you love your sugar, and you like your Netflix, and you don't want to move and you don't want to eat real food, and you're on the run and you're stressed out all the time and you wonder why you feel like garbage.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, sorry, I'm the bearer of bad news today. So it's a chronic inflammation signal. We start to see it go up when your stress hormones go up. So when your cortisol goes up, when you're under sympathetic overdrive, that fight or flight drive all the time. You're not sleeping. You're just drinking a bunch of coffee and staying up late at night, and then hormones start to go wacky. Weird. I don't know anybody who does that.
Neither do I.
Poor
I don't
thyroid
have enough myelin to remember.
poor thyroid function. So, an underactive thyroid can actually lead to higher cholesterol levels.
Okay.
Okay. And then nutrient deficiencies. You need a couple nutrients to process and break down cholesterol.
And then, of course, toxic exposure.
And then, of course, we've got toxic exposure can cause you to increase your cholesterol because toxins, again, need to be eliminated by glutathione. Glutathione has a fatty molecule inside of it, grabs onto toxins to get it out of the body.
This is something that I think in general, what we're seeing here is confusing solution with problem. So we would agree with kind of the conventional wisdom that, hey, when we see out of balance cholesterol, we see things like heart disease, we see things like metabolic syndrome. And the temptation would be to just go right into solution mode where it's like, well, yes, we're going to get rid of this cholesterol and then we fixed it. Let's go home. You're arguing that this that all this cholesterol kind of building up and the plaque and all this stuff, those are all downstream side effects of these real issues. So if you wanted to had somebody that was like, hey, you're at risk for heart disease, your cholesterol's up, you're this, you're more like looking at, hey, what's your metabolic health look like? You're pre-diabetic. We got this going on. We got that going on.
There's one more thing that I didn't put on here that I want to add, which is if you have gallbladder dysfunction, meaning your body
Oh,
is not actually pushing out enough bile from the liver in order to actually emulsify or break down the fat itself. So you're not digesting your fat. It could be another reason why your cholesterol is high. That's a big one, actually.
that sounds really unfortunate.
Yes.
It's not what you want.
Okay, so let's talk about what statins do well and what they don't do well. Okay, number one, they reduce cholesterol. They can actually reduce LDL numbers. Okay,
All right. That's a wrap.
LDL,
Let's go home.
all done. You should be
LDL's
better.
down. Yeah.
Yes, but they don't actually address inflammation or any of the metabolic drivers that are causing the disease in the first place.
Okay.
Okay. They deplete key nutrients. Okay. They deplete key nutrients. Some of the top ones are CoQ10, which is used for brain function, heart function, muscle contraction. It's used in the mitochondria to actually detox and produce energy for the body at a cellular level. So you need CoQ10. B vitamins, again, help with neurotransmitters, sleep patterns, hormones, detoxification. Selenium, they'll rob the body of selenium. That's a trace mineral that's used and highly needed specifically in thyroid function.
That's cool.
One of the major complaints with statins that you will hear is muscle pain. It will cause a low grade breakdown of your muscle tissue. Why? Because statins are what are called HMG CoA inhibitors. So they prevent the fat from coming into the areas where, again, you need lots of oxygen. Okay, so the breakdown of
Produce
fat
fat.
actually can help with oxygen exchange within the muscle groups.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll see things like fatigue. We will see cognitive changes. If you or somebody
Like
has
not good cognitive
no,
changes. We're
not
not going like
improved.
limitless mode here.
Yeah, not improved cognitive function,
The
decreased
bad one.
cognitive function. So if you have a loved one who's been on statins and they're having memory issues or they're having early dementia type symptoms, you might want to look into this. And then, of course, it is also associated and can exacerbate, meaning make worse, insulin resistance in some patients. And insulin
How many is
resistance,
some?
I don't
How
know.
many
I don't know the
percentage? Is it
percentage.
common or is that more rare?
I mean, I see people on statins with insulin resistance. While I don't know if
Or did they
that's
have it before?
yeah, exactly. I don't know if that's because they've had insulin resistance and that's the reason they were put on statins,
Yeah.
or if it's because they were put on statins and all of a sudden developed insulin
I
resistance.
guess I was just like, the reason why I like picked on that one a little bit is because I was wondering, well, one of the things when we're trying to like smooth out like blood sugar is moving away from refined carbohydrates and their insulin spikes and more into eating proteins and some fats and things like that to break
Mhm.
down slower. And so I was wondering if somebody's like depleting statins, or I mean, depleting cholesterol in the body, if they're getting less of the benefit of those kind of slower burn energy sources.
I think that's a really good theory,
So I
but
don't know if it's true. I was
I
just
think
thinking
that's
about it.
probably true, and if the reason why the statins are causing that is, yes, they do not have an
Like,
availability of
meaning I'm not
fats.
getting any of the fat that's like, was it in the 90s? They had some big scandal with like, oh, it's great now. No, Alestra. Like it was this
Oh,
fat
man.
that was supposed to be in chips and stuff, but then your body couldn't digest it. So it's just going to go
It just
right
went
through.
right through.
Right through. Wait a minute. What? It's like, so I'm not going to get fat from these Cheetos, but I'm still
Yes.
going to pay for them.
And this is where we run into the interface between your primary care physician treating your numbers and not necessarily treating the person that's sitting in front of them.
Right. And that gets back to that concept of heuristics. Like, because I like big weird words.
Yes.
No, I'm playing. All right, great.
Yes, and then I just will hit home that point of lower cholesterol doesn't equal better. Refer back to the list of all the things cholesterol does.
Right. And it makes, I feel like we've made a really good case in the data we've presented, but I'll put a finer point on it. We were talking at length about myelin, mitochondria is my wife's jam. Like myelin would be one of mine. I have other ones.
I did not know this about you, but since we've talked about it
Yeah, I was
twice
like
now,
talk
I'm
about the
like,
myelin.
yeah,
Tell me about myelin.
tell me about myelin.
A Anyway, whatever, I'm a casual fan, I'm an enthusiast. But when
Okay.
we talk about these cognitive changes, you don't think that might have something to do with that because lack
Right?
of myelin is going to greatly affect okay, so lack of cholesterol means my body is going to be stealing cholesterol wherever it can to just maintain life over time, and then in the dearth of cholesterol, eventually myelin would suffer.
I am wondering this because we talk about how
And then the muscle
lifestyle
pains and the
pulls the gun
MS
to
and
the
the yeah.
trigger of genetics, right? So, what if somebody has a genetic susceptibility, let's just say,
And now we're just
to
rabbiting here. Yeah.
getting multiple
There you
sclerosis?
go. That's what I was gonna that was
Now,
the
all of a
one I was gonna
sudden,
interrupt you.
they've got issues and
Yeah.
their doctor's like, whoa, your cholesterol's really high. Okay. So
Mhm.
they put them on a statin medication.
10 years later, they have
Could
MS.
they have developed MS more easily, let's just say that, let's be kind, than somebody who hadn't been taking a statin? Possibly, right? Possibly.
So in a way, you're almost saying that high cholesterol is like it's a side effect or it's a downstream effect, but it could also be a protective mechanism against some of these things. I don't know
Correct.
if that's true. I'm just like
Correct. Like
thinking out
maybe the
loud.
person who has that genetic propensity does better with a little bit higher level of cholesterol.
One of the I mean, he was a podcast bro, but one of the guys was saying, he's like, you know what? Like a lot of people are saying like cholesterol's bad. And he's like, and then you see people that eat like 10 eggs a day and they are jacked and they like look great.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I think I'm gonna eat eggs every day.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of funny. And I mean, I know bro science, but it's kind of an interesting
Well,
thing.
we don't just do bro science at our office. We actually look at the
Well, I
labs.
think we've made a good case. I
And
think
I
we've made
would
a good
say
case.
that bodes correctly, that if we can get people eating appropriately for how their body digests, and there's different percentages of macros, right? So some people do better with a high protein, with a smaller amount of carbs. Some people need more carbs, but they need it timed specifically with exercise and meals. Like all of that
Don't look at me.
gets figured out. I'm just describing people and
Someone
some people in
as you
general.
point at
I'm
me.
not pointing anything. They don't see anything. But I was actually had this other thought, and this
Yeah.
is again, I'm just rapping about this because I pull out the old charteroo to all my patients about cholesterol and how it is the backbone for making hormones, right?
Yeah.
And how important it is. What if we see the statins come in and now all of a sudden we start to see the testosterone lowering in men because of that? Now, there's other factors, right?
Oh, a
There's
lot.
pesticides, herbicides, plastics, those types of things that are causing the lowering of testosterone. We could make some comments about manliness and lifting heavy things and all of that. But what if also a contributing factor is these same men who have metabolic conditions are on statin medications, which are then lowering the precursor or that backbone that's needed to make hormones?
And then they started taking the statins, and now they're great.
Said no one ever.
Okay.
So, yes. So, I don't know, just some things to think about, but it's important whenever you're looking at something in the body, look at what that thing was there to do. I think because we have a faith in a higher power and God, a creator who designed us intelligently, my question is always like, well, why would that be there? What is the purpose of that? And when we understand the actual purpose of it, when we understand anatomy, when we understand physiology of the body, then it makes sense. Oh, this is why that's happening. Instead of just look at this fancy schmancy drug I got. There could be nothing bad that could happen from completely inhibiting this process, right?
Yeah.
Slow blink, right? Okay.
Cats
So
like it when you
so
slow
there
blink.
are cases where medications like statins may be appropriate. I'm not a cardiologist. I'm just asking some questions here, right? But there are acute risk scenarios. There are short-term use with support, and it should always be paired with also addressing the underlying issues, the blood sugar, the inflammation, the ability to absorb fats properly, lifestyle, and then the nutrients that need to be repleted. So all those need to be answered.
Okay.
Yeah, fair?
Okay, sure.
Great. Do you want to
Sure.
read our spiritual insight for today? This is the amplified version.
Wow.
Great.
Proverbs 4:23. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life.
It was a play on the heart. That's why I picked
Okay.
that one. It's
Okay.
nice.
Your heart, for it is the wellspring of life.
It really is. And so that can go with what we put in our bodies, and it can also go with what we consume as well, right?
Yeah.
And who we have relationships with and who we surround ourselves with.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have a relationship with statins.
And if you do, you should definitely consider
Yeah.
reasons
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
transition that relationship.
Transition. It's like meet your new girlfriend. It's the trash can.
You said it.
That is not medical
That's
advice.
I am that
Statins are a lovely medication with
yes.
a proven track record of saving millions of lives. And it's just like the world is so much better because of them. Think of all the seconds that have been added to the human life when they took statins for 10 years or 20 years, and statistically, their life was exactly 1 day longer.
Yeah.
So,
But who could measure a day, you know?
you know, they say that a day is as 1,000 years to the Lord. So really, that they gave you 1,000 years.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. Bless them.
great.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. We will see you on the next episode of Fire Your Doctor. Bye.
Statins are bad.